Hello again, this is UML Operator. All right, in this session, we're going to talk about reusing intelligence from your models across other projects. So reusing that data, if you will, global data across other projects without a lot of manual intervention. And first off, I want to thank Vladimir Zerjevich, who posted this question on, and I'm going to do this in a nutshell, because I want to set it up the way that I'm going to be presenting it. And that's, how do we share a piece of intelligence or data, whether it's requirements, constraints, rules, I just want to say other objects, in a manner that's reusable in reports, even in analytics, without a lot of manual intervention, going out and having to grab it and drag and drop it into a project, and then setting it up in a manual report or even a report that you're using with other data element outside of using the tools I'm going to share with you. So let's get into it. And I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. One is in the local project where those, I want to say, global assets may reside. And two is across multiple projects. And in this case, we're going to be bringing in RAS, or reusable asset service, in order to reuse the element, those data, even down to the global unique IDs, so that if you make changes in one point, if you need to make changes, it ripples across other reports, analytics, and projects. So let's jump into it. So we're going to use this project here that we've done in other demonstrations and other sessions. And in this, we've got a requirements management repository for this particular project. We're going to use access management. I'm not going to use access failed requirements, but access management requirements as our global assets, because login and access management are global elements, global design elements, diagrams. We're going to focus on the requirement elements themselves across all projects in a particular company. We're calling these current mode of operations or future mode of operations. We'll get into that in a moment when we get into the reporting part of it. So this is setting up our use case, the requirements that we're going to be focused on, and how we're going to set these assets up for global use across your current project or multiple projects. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to pick the access namespace or package that has the requirements, these requirements right here, in focus. And we're going to put this under package control. That's signified by the red icon or marker on the package icon. So I'm not going to get into how to do package control. You all should understand how to do that. So from settings, go to package control. You can see this is under control. It's being sent to a specific repository. We're using XEA as the type. And there's a video, I'll include a link in it on how to do package control. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to set it up for package control, right? The second thing we're going to do is we're going to hit Control, Alt, and E, and we're going to export that to the repository that we just configured for package control. So only the XML file, the XEA format, we're going to export that. So you can see it's called Access XEA out, so that we can reuse the XML, the XMI, this data, if you will, across multiple projects. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Publish. We're going to go to Reusable Asset Service. We're going to browse wherever our repository is for this, and we're going to go down to the storage area for global assets, and we're going to register this package, which we've already done. So the content is there. Any models that we want to keep are going to be brought up. And then all of the requirement elements and relevant elements will be put in a reusable asset service. And you'll see this in use in just a moment, but we're going to do the outside project example or demonstration later. In the first, we're going to do how are we doing this locally within a local project instance, whether it's local XEA file, EAPX file, or what have you. This is a SQL repository, also in the cloud, and that's where we're going to be managing these assets. Now, our first example, we're in a single local repository shared across dozens of stakeholders, and there are multiple projects or efforts that are taking place separated by root folders or root nodes within the project browser. So the first project here is one of the demos that we did. Let's go ahead and find it. It is under requirements management for this particular work effort. And in it, we have analytics and reporting right here, and we have the requirements that are going to be reported above. So as we stated before, we're going to focus on access, global access, access management, if you will, requirements. Let me just double click. These are the elements that we're focusing on. We're not necessarily focusing in or on the access use case or the activity models that are relevant to this particular effort. We're purely focused on the requirements. This would just be a byproduct if you so choose, either locally or from your reusable asset service, which we'll get into later, right? So the second project is around a particular OurCo project focused on requirements from the beginning all the way to the engine control module, with it from use cases down to the project delivery. All right, so, and they have analytics and reporting too at their own requirements level. So when we're looking at theirs, these are their requirements that are for this particular project as we're going forward. So all we're doing is we want to make sure that we're sharing access requirements within their reporting capabilities. And we're going to be using model document, and I'll include a link on how to, what some of the other videos that we've done on model documents that are there, so that you simply have to grab the package when you're bringing it in. But let's do the first project first. So let me just go ahead and close these, and let's back up a little bit and jump into project one. Now, in this first project, they had use cases they started with, and from the use cases, they started their requirements development effort and around particular use cases. So access failed, tailoring, ordering, all the way through. That they used simulations to help derive and further develop requirements. So in this particular case, when we drill down into their requirements management repository, and our focus is on access, let's go into analytics and reporting. You can see the first dashboard they did was around access management. In particular, the identity management, access management requirements from a globally approved perspective for this enterprise of this company. So their access management requirements are being run from this particular point, and they're at various status from, there's 50% of them are proposed, 32% of them are implemented, 14% of them are mandatory according to security, chief security office, regulatory requirements, privacy requirements, etc. And then 5% of them have been validated. So it's something in between. They've been validated potentially at present mode, no change, that they're just using that particular status in their requirements implementation. So we're using this chart out of the documentation tooling that we have to derive our intelligence, our analytics that you see here. So I'm not going to get into that. I have a video on that as well. So we're using the model document element to generate a report. And we're focused on two packages. One of them is access, and the other one is access failed requirements. So we go back over here, we have access and these requirements, and then we have if access failed, the requirements that take place during such an event. So what we're focused on is access. Globally, access failed may not necessarily be global it may be handled differently inside or outside the company, depending on their federated identity management architecture. So here we're using a model document element. We simply drag and drop that in here. We give it a name. I call that access requirements. And then what we do here is we simply grab the package that we want to report on. So we're going to drag and drop access in here and access failed in this particular report, right? And I don't need this element here. So next thing we do, one of the features within the model document element is that if I right click on here, I can go to documentation and I can launch generate documentation from here. And if you recall in the video, I can launch this from publish, and it knows that it's on model report as the default, and then it's using model document as the type of reporting process. So we're going to make sure we're going to leave all the defaults in here. Well, not template, because I don't want to use model report. As I tell you in that other video, you have the ability to choose. I can use requirement details, summary report, or I can use my own custom scope analysis, and that's the one I'm going to choose in this case. And we're going to generate, and we're going to go out to our demo repository. All right, auto names it for us based on the name of the model document element, and we're going to go ahead and hit generate. So what it's doing right now is it's incorporating the access requirements, which are global, and I could call the package or namespace global access or global access requirements. I just call it access, all right? And then it generates the report. It says it's done, we're ready to view it. And I'm using a custom scope report, and it's giving us for access, and it's going to give us the requirements for access failed, right? So any diagrams there, access failed, any diagram. So it generates that report, right? So next what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our second project, which needs to use those global access elements and follow their progress within this project. So in this case, I have a cover page for this separate project. I've got a navigation cell here. Videos show you all how to do this, so you can reflect back on that. I have two dashboards. One are the requirements for this specific project and the status those requirements are on. And two is the same dash report that we used in the previous project for analytics. This one right here, we can copy and paste it, or if we wanted to, we could come over here, drag and drop a standard chart in here and configure it accordingly. All right. So I'm not going to get into that in a video. I cover that in another video on reporting. So, and I'll try to bring these links in here so you can reflect on them. Right. In this case, we're also using the model document element. And here we're using two packages. So if I go into features, you can see there's two packages. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this one and show you how we set this up. So we're in this project and we have the requirements that they want to use for theirs for ECM, right? So they have the methods and procedures that they want to use for their project. And they're right here, one package, here's all the requirements, all right? But we want to bring in the global access requirements from that namespace where those are managed. And here it is right here. And I simply drag and drop it in, and I'm able to run this report, this scope analysis. I can right click on it, documentation, generate documentation, and then from here, it defaults to model report. Doesn't remember the last one we used. This time we're going to use the requirements report details instead of this is the canned reporting template Sparx gives you instead of our or my custom report. So we're going to hit generate, and this is going to run through all the requirements in both packages, and it's going to generate the requirements detail report. So right now it's going through MMP management, and you can follow the progress down here. We'll get into access management, and it will let you know down here in progress when the report is complete. And it's complete. We're going to select view and view it internally. It generated a Microsoft Word or docx file format, but we're going to look at these requirements inside, right? So we have all the requirements for the CCM project. And as we go down past their scope and requirements, we get to global access requirements right from the same SQL repository, the same namespace, what version, what status that they're set at. So that's how easy it is in a local project to reuse elements across the entire project. Next, we're going to do is we're going to show how to reuse these same elements from its initial source, right, where they're being produced and managed, to external projects that may contribute back to this particular project or where access management is being managed. All right, so we're back over to our initial project, and we're focused on analytics and reporting for access requirements, and we're referring to this as global access requirements. And again, I could change the name to global, but I don't want to do that in this particular case. That's up to you, whether you want to tag the namespaces. You could use tag values. You could use stereotypes, all sorts of ways to approach to show what is global and what's not global, right? So in this case, we set up our package control by the red icon. If you recall in the beginning of the video, we went out to our reusable asset service under a storage area for global assets, and we registered this package, right? And I'm going to register it again. So I'm going to delete this package and dependencies from the repository, and there we go, it's gone. We have a clean repository, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to register this package here, which is under package control in a separate repository. In this case, we're using reusable asset service as a repo or a repository for this. So we're going to select register. We're just going to give this a version number 01, and then I'm just going to call this initial global access requirements. Hopefully I didn't fat finger that. Used across, just telling the readers or whoever's coming into RAS, hey, what's going on here? Now check dependencies. We're going to use package dependency import. We're not going to use complete or normative. We certainly could, but in this case, we're going to use package dependency import. And again, I'll try to link the video on reusable asset service and the different types of check dependencies. We're just going to go with this one, right? And everything else is done. We're going to hit register. Yes, I want to register. Thank you. And it's going through. And now this is in the RAS repository for this instance. And essentially, I brought in two diagrams, mostly interested in this diagram here, and then all of these elements for access, right? So we're going to flip over to a separate project, and we're going to bring this in to that project. Now for this demonstration, we're in a local demo environment that we constantly use in this channel. I have a new project simply called company project. I have a blank cover page, and we're going to bring in our access requirements. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We could certainly import it in from the repo, the XML file, or we can go to reusable asset service. We're going to go to reusable asset service, which is my recommendation every time. The old days we used XMI, XML metadata interchange, and we brought in XML files. But since RAS was reusable asset service came about, we simply log in and there we go. We just check this in. And I can sit here, what is this? Oh yeah, I want to look at it. I want to do a review, all the fun stuff you can do in RAS. But I want to import this into this project namespace, right? So I'm going to select import, package and dependents. I could just do package only. We're going to hit the first one, which I recommend by default. You never know if there are any dependencies. Whoever checked it in and register. Let's take a look at it. So in this case, we have the requirements for global access that are in here. And you'll notice, as I share in the other videos, we have these ghost elements using the GUIDs right? Now didn't need them, so that's the reason I didn't use that type of check-in method to go out and grab those where those were. I've just brought in the requirements. That's the only thing that I wanted, right? And so I've got the access change review. I'm going to double click on it. These don't have, because I did not bring in, again, the diagrams, so they're blank. So I can delete these if I want, either from the diagram or from the project in general, but I have the requirements that are under review, and I'm able to get to the review capabilities. Again, I'm not covering that review in this video, but I'm able to get everything relevant out of RAS for this access requirements for my project. All right, so now we're ready to start our project. We can bring this certainly in as a package, show everything inside of it, or we could bring it in as a navigation cell, so we can very quickly get to, just pick anything here, very quickly get to the requirements of this particular model and so on. Multiple ways I could bring it in as a hyperlink, all sorts of ways I've shown you how to do this. All right, so now we're ready to kick this project off, and we have the global access requirements that are here. Now, of course, you can see the red icon. It's under package control. It has the metadata necessary for package control, wherever that repository is. Anybody that's managing the XML or XEA can handle it there. But our process and procedures is, if you're going to be making changes to these requirements, you're going to check it back into the reusable asset service and version it following the methods and procedures that have been given by your particular company, enterprise, or development shop. All right, I hope this video was helpful for you. And again, Vladimir, thank you so much for posting the comment, presenting the challenge, because this was a fun one that I want to take a break from our current projects and video scripting to do this one for you and for all the subscribers. So thanks for the support from the community. Really appreciate it. Having too much fun in my years here, sharing all of this with you. Look forward to doing more. Post comments down below here, good or bad. Let me know what you think, what you need to know, and we'll try to put it into our learning queue and get it out to you. All right. So thanks very much for watching. And until the next time we talk, happy modeling.